I have some football thoughts for you today, specifically Caleb Williams, Monday night. Caleb guy. It was a tough second half for us. Maybe even hints at a tough second half in the first half. So some thoughts on that, some numbers I'm going to share with you on the bad throw percentage number, which is not a good time. Trey McBride is on his way to potentially being the best tight end in the NFL. We're going to talk about his career from Colorado State. And even before that, shout out to Fort Morgan. May want to avoid it during the sugar beet season. But an awesome player, an awesome contract, and an awesome story. And we've got Brad Ingelsby, the master at storytelling. His new show, Task, is out on HBO. The pilot is out. You can check it out every Sunday. I want to talk to him about creating this show and everything around it. And is there ever going to be a sequel of Mare of Easttown? And we've got Life Advice Extended. This is the Ryen Russillo podcast presented by FanDuel, and the NFL is officially back. So if you're going to be in it with FanDuel. They've got the goods, futures, live betting, SGPs, that same game parlays, your way bets, all of it. The app's clean, it's fast, and yeah, when you win, you get paid instantly, which is nice because Sunday patience doesn't exist. So get your bets in, build something bold, and make every game feel bigger. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/Ryen, R-Y-E-N, to get started. The Ringer is committed to responsible gaming. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available, and listen to the end of the episode for additional details. Must be 21 and older and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit rg-help.com. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Paid endorsement. I want to start today's podcast with a story. I remember the first time I saw him, Fenway Park. He was 5'10", 5'11", probably still is. He had sandy brown hair. Looked like maybe a bit of a mustache. Tells you perhaps he was a pitcher in high school. There was a scrappiness to him. Maybe a little rough around the edges. Tells you that he's from maybe Woburn or something, not Duxbury. And he had a sweatband, kind of like a wrist, sweatband that we used to wear as kids, and hitters used to wear. And then, something happened in the early 2000s. Dude started moving it higher up their forearm. I remember there was a bartender that I worked with that used to just keep his bottle opener stashed in there, like his weapon of choice. And this guy just had it around his throwing arm. He's the best peanut vendor I've ever seen in my life. And I still think about him. I remember watching him perform, those of us that were at Fenway a lot, kind of like, oh, here we go. He's in our section. And he would throw that bag of peanuts 20, 30 rows up with, just absolute insane accuracy. And the only time there were ever any incompletions is when the fans, either just bad receivers, where they get so excited, like he's really going to throw it up here. And they would like spaz out. Then of course there was always like interception guy who would like get up a couple rows before and, grab the peanuts. And then, you'd kind of the vendor would look at them being like, what are we doing? Trying to get peanuts to the people here. Because people would raise their hands, and he would look at them and he would flick the bag of peanuts too before he threw it. And I don't know if that was to like crack some sort of hole in it to release the air. Maybe that gave him better grip. Maybe there was something going on with the vortexes. I don't know. But he had it down. Who's to question any of the process that he would have? And he would kind of give this look like Kenny Stabler after a few drinks. And, the fan in the seat would point to themselves and they'd be like, me all the way up here. And he would just kind of like flick the sack of peanuts and he just kind of give this nod. And then he'd throw it right into their hands. As long as they didn't move, it was always a completion. And if they dropped it, he'd give that look of like a quarterback being like, that's a fucking in cut. Like, what are you doing? As the football team would go back to the sideline after an incomplete on third down. It was never his fault. And honestly, it kind of wasn't ever his fault if the peanuts landed on the ground. And you have a lot of fun watching it happen because you could see those of us that are there a lot, we knew the deal. And those that were seeing it for the first time, our enjoyment was seeing people enjoy it for the first time. Sometimes you see him after at the baseball tavern. Shout out to Rooney. Post shift, leaning, having a beer. Guys would buy him beers. Sometimes guys would grab him a beer and then pretend they were going to throw it at him. And he would just look at them and kind of give a smile that celebrities will give to people. I was like, yeah, hey, I get it. Yeah, you're going to throw it, but it's like, I know you're not at my level. He'd give this look almost like Billy the Kid in jail. Like you actually, you don't think I'm in total control of the situation. And he'd kind of smile. And so, yeah, I still think about him sometimes. And the reason I'm even talking about him is that when I watched Caleb Williams on Monday night, it didn't remind me of the Peanut Guy at all. Nothing resembled the Peanut Guy. Confidence, rattle, accuracy. So, yeah, I'm a Caleb guy, and I know it's been 2 days. Not technically 48 hours, but I just had some thoughts because that wasn't good. It wasn't good. It wasn't what I was hoping for. New offense, new investments in the offensive line, a year of seasoning. And trust me, I was getting a lot of texts. I got a few texts, maybe a lot. 10's probably a lot, so closer to 5. Some texts in that first stretch of the game. Caleb Owens 10 for 10. He's got the rushing touchdown, the escapability, all the fun stuff. Some guys are like, good for you. You're always stubborn about this stuff, and good for you. And I was like, I don't know. Still have a ways to go in this one. And sure, we can play the game. If they make the field goal to go up 20-6 in the fourth quarter, maybe it's a different result. If you don't have the awful holding call on Darnell Wright, I think at right tackle, I think there was the Stevenson pass interference call against Naylor that was pretty rough because it looked like Naylor just sort of fell down on 3rd and 1. So there's stuff we could do if you wanted to try to talk yourself into this. I mean, it was 12 penalties for 127 yards, but to spin it the other way, the Bears get a pick 6. That offense just shut down. They had 5 possessions in the second half where they moved it for a total of 66 yards before the Kirk Cousins TD to cut the lead to 27-24. So the game was kind of over when they put together that touchdown drive. So, the escapability is nice, but the running around part of it doesn't mean anything if the throwing part of it isn't there. And even though it felt pretty good in the beginning, and for the same reasons I wasn't celebrating Caleb Williams, the same reasons why I wasn't ready to dig a grave for J.J. McCarthy in his first start, who didn't look good until he was incredible in the fourth quarter and just kind of let it all fly. So, who knows? Maybe the Vikings on this J.J. thing are right. And I'm not even suggesting that they're necessarily wrong, but it's a pretty bold thing to do, as we've touched on during the summer, of a team 14-3 and being like, nope, we're going to go with the guy that was clearly they like him enough to have taken him. But just ready to hand him the keys to this whole thing. But back to Caleb, there's the clips out there. I mean, do you want to talk about any of the bad throws? Because there's a ton of them. I mean, I could just list all of them, but you've probably seen them already. And if you've seen the all 22 clips, it's even worse, because I think in this Ben Johnson offense, if you think about Goff, you think about, okay, a lot of it is establishing the run. It is the wins off of play action once the run is established. It is Goff making the right decision when it isn't there. And there were at times throws with Caleb where I'm like, this does remind me, maybe I'm just playing too much of the Ben Johnson was just in Detroit and Goff was there, so I'm looking for the exact same things, but the right throws when it's not there. And instead of it just feeling like, especially with the lead, like they were in control and it was, hey, just finding those right throws, I don't know what happens to him, because I don't know if it's just as simple as calming down a little bit, but once it starts getting weird for him, and maybe you can understand, it goes back to the old David Carr thing with Houston, is could it have ever been fixed with him, considering he started off just getting his ass handed to him and just all the sack numbers that he was taking? Do you become this quarterback who's trying to develop, and really what you're doing is developing survival? So I was wondering if there was any carryover from that. Are these the years where Caleb, if it were ever going to work out, it couldn't ever work out from the starting point? Now, the sack numbers for Caleb, they're astonishing from last year, but it's a bit like the Russell Wilson stuff, even during the peak years in Seattle, where, remember the first time Wilson was suggesting the O-line needed to be a little bit better, or the sack total was a little too high. It's like, yeah, a lot of those sacks are on you, though, because as great as you are in your talent to kind of keep these plays alive, like you'll look at some of the Caleb numbers and be like, look at all the time he has to throw. And it's like, well, time to throw can be misleading too, because time to throw can mean that you're just back there running around hoping something happens, but then the protection is totally breaking down and you end up taking sacks that has nothing to do with the offensive line. So the bad habits that we saw, whether it was him not seeing the field or feeling like every time he dropped back, he was running for his life, which I think is part of it from last year. But if that's kind of in your internal clock, can that be fixed with new offensive lineman, new coordinator, new system, all that kind of stuff, if that's what you did for an entire year? So again, it sounds like I'm making excuses for him. I'm not at all, because the misses, you're just not going to survive in the NFL if you're going to miss throws the way he missed throws on Monday night. I like to look at the Pro Football Reference page for the NFL quarterbacks because they have some advanced passing numbers. And I'm sure, again, if we really want to dig into it, you can pick some of this stuff apart. But there's a bad throw percentage number, like what percentage of your throws over the course of the season are considered bad throws. And the best thing to do is look at the player you're looking at and then compare that with everybody else. So Caleb last year on 21% of his throws, they were considered bad throws, according to however they calculate this number. On Monday night, 26% of his throws were considered bad throws. His pressure rate last season, dropbacks facing pressure, pressured on 23.5% of his dropbacks in 24. Monday night, 25.6%. So that number didn't necessarily improve. But that 26% bad throw number from just one game, maybe it's just one game. We'll see. It's a carryover last year. It's even worse. And then when you compare that, and I'm not even putting him against the studs. Like Geno had a really good year last year. Geno, 10% of his throws were considered bad throws. Let's do some other quarterbacks. Justin Fields in 24, 16%. Drake May, 16%. Spencer Rattler last year, 18%. Oddly enough, his bad throw percentage on 46 attempts against Arizona this past weekend, 2%. And then Mac Jones, one of our favorites, in his 3 years at New England, the calculation is 16% of his throws are bad throws. Again, last year, Caleb at 21%. You don't see north of 20 very often. And there's even some really good quarterbacks that have an oddly worse number than some of the guys you would like. So again, the number doesn't mean everything, but it was a bad throw fest on Monday night. So look, the bad parts are so bad that it completely cancels out the good parts. And like I've always said, the scrambling part's cool. Like there was one move where, it's just a gift that he is able to kind of like step forward and then avoid pressure by like juking backwards and then be back on platform. And he has all the arm talent. And you think, okay, well, this is really impressive. But none of that is impressive to me if the throwing part isn't figured out. That's just the add-on. And as I watch Monday night, or, look, I can chalk up, there's plenty of really good quarterbacks that have bad rookie seasons, but I don't know where the guy is from his sophomore year, his first year at SC, where he was 42-5 on touchdown interception split, the 10 yards on average of yards gained, a different number you can look at there on throws. Just an absurd number when you calculate the whole stuff in. And some of you said, hey, he regressed his junior year. You're not paying attention to that. I looked at the junior year of him trying to survive with a season that was lost based on SC standards where they were 8-5. And I'm like, this guy's out there just trying to figure out a way to keep this team in every one of these games. So I thought with adversity, it wasn't like he was one of these dudes at Alabama where they're just better than everybody else this whole run. They get to step in, NFL dudes all over the place. And it's like, okay, really good, won a ton of games, great stats. But, is he going to even have even close to the same level of superiority with the rosters he's going to have in the NFL? And usually the answer is always no. So I thought Caleb was actually dealing with adversity his final year there, his junior year at SC, that would actually set him up to deal with it. And that's just not happened. So bad start. It was pretty bad. Doesn't remind me of the peanut guy. But I think if you know me, I'm going to have to see a lot more of this looking the same for me to ultimately submit. The Ryen Russillo podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Football fans, every NFL Thursday is your chance to hit the jackpot on FanDuel, because with FanDuel's Thursday touchdown jackpot, you can win a share of $2 million in bonus bets each week. To get on this Thursday's action, all you have to do is place an anytime touchdown score bet before the game between the Commanders and the Packers kicks off. And if your player scores first or the last TD of the game, you'll win your bet plus a share of bonus bets. All right, let's look at the board here. There's a 4-guy touchdown deal that's playing, plus 3,000 and more. Let's stay away from that one. Packers favored by 3.5 at home. Total on this one, 48.5. I like the Packers at home, especially after that Lions game. Not a shock there. I was thinking about Tucker Kraft plus 210. Josh Jacobs is the favorite here, minus 210, so we'll stay away from that. Maybe Kraft plus 210. If we go Jaden Daniels, though, reaching the end zone, again, him running in, plus 185. What if he's the first? Fresh legs, healthiest you're going to be, week one, plus 1,200. A little dangerous, so maybe both of those plays make some sense if you want the bigger payout and the safer anytime option as well at plus 185. That's FanDuel.com/Ryen, R-Y-E-N, for your chance to win a share of $2 million in bonus bets. Play your game with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and older and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Must apply profit boost token on select market. Prize pool to be split equally among all eligible participants who made the correct first or last TD pick. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 21 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing an offensive guard, but getting an elementary school crossing guard. Sure, they're both guards, but who's going to protect your quarterback on the football field? You wouldn't settle for just anything for your team, so don't settle for just any insurance. When it comes to getting the help you need, State Farm is the real deal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. He is one of the best tight ends in the NFL, made the Pro Bowl last year, Arizona Cardinals, Trey McBride, on behalf of Rockin' Protein, which tastes great. I got a crate of it sent over here. And he's also the pride of Fort Morgan, a lovely community where I had the chance to spend a day just a couple months ago. So what's up, man?
What's up, man? Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. This will be fun to chat and talk a little ball, so it'll be good.
Let's start with Fort Morgan, though, because I was driving out from Denver to play golf at Ballyneal.
Yeah.
And then on the way back, I had like 7 hours to kill. So I just was like, I guess I'll go to Fort Morgan because I'd driven through it on the way out there.
Yeah.
And then on the way back. So I hit up like some mom and pop gym that was down this dirt road.
Yep. I know exactly which one you're talking about. The Star.
Yeah. I did a day pass there. And then I was like, all right, where can I eat? And then I went to like this Mexican place over by a ranch supply shop where I bought a shirt.
I know exactly which one you're talking about. Yep.
So talk to me about your hometown.
Yeah, I mean, 7 hours is a lot of time to be, to kill in Fort Morgan. There's not a whole lot to do. So I'm happy you were able to find some things to do. But for me, man, growing up in Fort Morgan was awesome. It's just a small community where kind of everybody knows everybody. You're real close with everybody. You know where everybody lives, and everybody's super close. But it's something I really enjoyed. Growing up in that small town. Friday night lights, the whole town really shuts down. Everybody's at the game. You get, the one time there's traffic in town is when everyone's going to the football game on Friday night. So it's a super special place. I loved growing up there, man, and it definitely holds a special part in my heart.
It was like going back in time, man. It was kind of cool. And I can imagine just, the kids on the bikes down the street and nobody's really worried about it. And, everybody, I mean, it's just because if you blink, you're through the town and then you're back onto the highway, Yep,
100%. I mean, it takes you just a few minutes to get from one side of town to the other side of town. So that was always something when I went to college and moved to a different town, having to stop at a couple traffic lights, having to, take more than 5 minutes to get across town was a little different for me. So that was something I had to adjust to. But no, it was a lot of fun. I love growing up in Fort Morgan, and very, very special town.
Yeah, I got caught by a train, so that took a little while, but it was kind of fun. I was like, oh yeah, this is what it's like. And then, the gym had everything I needed. They were a little confused. They're like, what's going on? This guy's getting a day pass and he lives in California. I was like, yeah, just in town, taking it all in. You were a stud. Do you still have a record the record for most points scored in basketball history there for the high school?
Yeah. I still have that one. I have the home run record in baseball, RBIs. I got a couple good ones there at that high school. So it was a lot of fun.
Was it always football for you though?
Early I thought it was going to be baseball. I was a really good baseball player. I could hit the ball really well. And I always wanted to play basketball. I knew I wasn't tall enough to play basketball, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm pretty good at baseball, and then baseball kind of just, I thought I was good enough. I got a couple small, Division II offers, a couple small, schools, but then the offers for football started rolling in, and I was like, well, it kind of, decided my fate when I had way more, scholarships to go play football than I did to go play baseball. And so my opportunity was to play football, and I, chose Colorado State, and, there it is. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun.
Do you realize now though, that you were that kid? It's like, all right, this guy's just going to be great at everything he does. You have these records, and, that kid is either really mature and understands like all of this adoration, like I have to handle it the right way as a high school kid, or that kid's like the worst because everything works out for him.
Right. Yeah. I think for me, it was something where I knew I was good, but I didn't really know how good I was because I came from such a small town. I was like, man, am I just good because I'm in this small town, or am I good? Would I be good if I went to a school in Denver, if I went to a bigger school, or am I just the best of what we have here in Fort Morgan? And it wasn't a huge sample size, so I didn't really know how good I really could be. And that was something that when I got to college, learned quickly that I could, be one of the best there at college too. So it was just one of those things I didn't know until I just kept going and kind of just kept excelling every year.
So when you were getting recruited, what's your favorite story from that time?
One story that sticks out to me was, I was getting recruited I had a couple offers. I had Wyoming, I had Colorado State, I had Cal Berkeley, and I was kind of wanting to, choose kind of between a few of those schools. Well, Colorado State had offered me, and they offered me early when I was a freshman in high school. So they had been recruiting me for a long time. A lot of these other schools came in, junior years, things like that. So I ended up committing to Colorado State my junior year, and shortly after I committed to Colorado State, I thought I was like, oh, maybe I'll still go on a couple, visits. I'll go visit Wyoming. I'll go visit a couple other schools after I'd already committed, and not really thinking the other schools are like, yeah, bro, you're not coming on like these visits unless you decommit from your school, or you don't tell the coaches you don't want to play for them, and then you can come out on a visit. So I had all these, recruiting visits lined up, and Wyoming was not hosted me on any recruiting visit if I was committed to Colorado State. So it was just one of those things where I thought I was going to be able to visit all these schools and go and, explore all these other schools. But I committed so early that were all checked out on me, and none of them wanted anything to do with me after I had committed. So it was one of those kind of a tough deal for me, but I'm glad it all worked out. Colorado State was a lot of fun.
Was there a little apprehension then, even at Colorado State, where you're taking the field D1 now and kind of what you already said, is this Fort Morgan or is this me?
Yeah, 100%. It was like, am I good enough to play at this level? I was really good at Fort Morgan. I was good at a small school, but it was like, can I do this at this level? Can I compete at this Division I level with all these guys that are bigger, faster, stronger, whatever than I am? So it was so much fun. Actually, my brother was there at Colorado State with me, so it really did feel like home when I was there at CSU. So to go out on the field and play with him a few times was a lot of fun too.
Was it pretty quick though? Was it pretty quick? Or you're like, actually, I might be a beast?
Yeah, well, I didn't play as much as I wanted to my freshman year. I was kind of like the backup tight end. They had a guy there already, so I didn't really get my opportunity. But when I did get my first opportunity, I played really well. And then I was like, yeah, I can compete at this level. I can play at this Division I level, and then kind of took off from there.
When did you start thinking about the NFL?
Really, I think after my sophomore season, I had a first team all conference Mountain West season. And really it was after that season that I was like, wow, this could really be a dream, something that I could really do. And then that's kind of when I put all my eggs in the one basket, and I was like, I'm going to kind of go all in on football. I'm going to like really, pour everything into this so I have a chance at this NFL. And my whole thing was I wanted to play 3 years after that sophomore season. I was first team all conference. I was like, man, if I have one more good season, I can go to the NFL next year and do that. Well, then that third year, my was COVID and kind of that all happened. So then I ended up having to stay one more year to the 2021 season, and then went to the NFL after that. But it was really after my sophomore season when I felt like I really have a chance to do this NFL thing.
I remember during the COVID year, were you thinking about transferring out?
Yeah, I was. It wasn't really because I didn't want to be at Colorado State. It was during COVID. They weren't going to play a season. The Mountain West had no football season. They were going to cancel the whole year. So that was right after I had that really good season. And I was like, man, I just need one more year and I can probably go to the NFL. So my whole thing was, I'm going to transfer to a school in the SEC that I know for sure is going to be playing football. Like, I know they're going to be playing a football season. I'll transfer to that school. I'll play one season and then I'll go to the NFL. That was really my goal. And then, right when I was getting ready to transfer, Colorado or the Mountain West decided, hey, we're going to actually play a season. So then kind of backed out of the transfer portal. I didn't really want to leave. I just wanted to play a season that year.
Well, we can do it now then. We're in the SEC. Where are you going to go?
I was actually going to go to South Carolina because my old head coach, Mike Bobo, had gotten the offensive coordinator job there at South Carolina. So he got fired, got the offensive coordinator job there at South Carolina. So I was probably going to end up there and playing for him one more season.
Man.
It's just crazy. You always wonder, man, what would have happened if I would have transferred? What would have been different, all this and that. So it's just, I'm thankful I stayed at Colorado State, but every once in a while I think, man, what would have really happened had I went, that route?
I don't want to jump ahead kind of in the interview, but I think about some of the tight ends that are just rock stars in this league.
Yeah.
Right. And, whether it's, we can go however long down the line we want to go, but like certainly with Gronk and then Kelsey and then Kittle. And look, you made the Pro Bowl last year. So sometimes when I'm like, I don't know when it was like the first time with you watching you in the NFL where I thought, man, this guy's kind of nasty, Maybe if you had played in the SEC, if you had played in the Big Ten or something like that, maybe you come into the league as a second round pick with people having more awareness about you. But then also, your rookie year, you've already talked about it. Like, it's not like you didn't play at all, but you didn't play as much as you wanted to. You still had, 29 catches or something like that. So it felt like it took everyone kind of a longer time to catch up to who you were and the impact you were making. And I don't know, did that ever bother you? Does that stuff matter?
It doesn't really matter in the long run. It's like, whatever. But, every once in a while, I'm like, why don't, people talk about me as much as I feel like I should be talked about? Or why don't people, know who I am as much as they know with these other tight ends, things like that. But at the same time, man, it doesn't really matter. I play, I've been playing good football for a couple of years. I'm going to continue to do that. And I think as long as we continue to win, we win a lot of football games. And that's when, then everything else will kind of take care of itself.
I do think everybody knows now, though.
Yeah, I don't getting better for sure.
Yeah. So maybe I'm going back to like 2 years ago before the 24 season, which was kind of your coming out party nationally. And yeah, you're right. Like if you win, this stuff will take care of itself. But when I think about the draft and, you went back into the second round and we talked to so many guys like, hey, take us through draft night. Like, what was that night like for you? I feel like almost every dude goes, well, I thought maybe there was a chance I was going to go 20. Like there's always that kind of story. Yeah. Did you have any thought that you could be surprised? Did you go where you thought you were going to go? Like, what do you remember from that stage of entering the league?
The draft night was a funny deal for me because, I was coming off the John Mackey Award. I was the top tight end in the country. So I was like, I had a pretty strong feeling that I was going to be the top tight end taken. And I was like, looking back, I'm like, man, there's been a lot of, tight ends in the first round the last couple of years. I'm like, there's a good chance I could go, at the back end of this first round, early second round was kind of where I had expected to go. And it was one of those things where I had this huge party the first night and obviously didn't get taken the first night. So I was real upset, bummed, embarrassed, all the emotions going through. And, I had all my friends and family at this party and didn't get drafted and blah, blah, blah. And, then the next day, waiting kind of through the middle of the second round, thinking I'm going to be a pretty early pick in that second round, not getting the call. And then finally, get up, I've been waiting for a couple hours, get up to go to the restroom. And as soon as I go to the restroom, I come back, I have 3 missed calls on my phone. I'm like, well, I've been sitting here for 2.5 hours and no one's called me. I get up for 30 seconds to go to the restroom and I have all these missed calls. So, Cardinals called me. Obviously, we're chatting with them, but it was one of those things where I didn't talk to the Cardinals the whole draft process. I didn't have one, really talk to them at all because they were picked 55. I didn't think I would fall that far. And I didn't, I thought I'd be drafted before that, whatever. They probably did too. And then they drafted me and, obviously very thankful and happy they did and grateful to be here.
Did anyone tell you to not have the party just in case?
They were my agents were like, if you're going to get picked in the first round, it's going to be the last 5 picks or something, these picks. So he's like, it's up to you and I was like, dude, I'm going to be picked, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, it would suck if I didn't have the party and then got picked, whatever. So got all dressed up, whatever, didn't get picked, and then had to come back the second night for round 2. So.
Yeah. And look, then you became the highest paid tight end in the NFL, but Kittle only let you have that, for a couple of weeks?
Yeah, just a few weeks. I knew it was coming. We were talking at the Pro Bowl. He's like, just waiting for you to, sign your deal so I can, renegotiate here. And I was like, well, I'm waiting for you to sign your deal so I can, so it was one of those things where we were just kind of, playing around with, screwing with each other. But I'm happy for him. Obviously, he deserves all of it. And, it's cool to have that title for however long it was.
Yeah, he's the best, man. He's a good dude. How does that work? Because there's certain things I think when you're in a very rare industry, right? There's, this isn't as cool, but there's usually a handful of people I can talk about my stuff and they understand it. And it's family doesn't understand it. Even a wife or a girlfriend, they're not going to understand it. Is that kind of funny for you to be sitting there talking about Kittle? And we're talking life-changing amounts of money and you're just two buddies who play the same position going hey, what's the deal with you?
Yeah, 100%. It's super cool. And then just to have the conversations, to be there, to be in the conversation with him, it was super cool. But he's great, man. It's one of those things where I want him to, get as paid as much. And then I want someone to jump him. And then everyone kind of just keeps jumping each other. And then we all make more money. So that's kind of the whole goal is we all just kind of make each other some more money. So I'm excited for him. And, hopefully someone will jump him soon.
Who was your favorite tight end growing up?
I was a huge Gronkowski fan. I loved watching, when he was there in New England. That was a lot of fun to watch. Watched him a ton, but Shannon Sharp, grew up in Colorado too. So, watching him growing up was a lot of fun too.
Did you like receivers as much though? Because I think that's the thing that always, it freaks out some corners. I've heard some conversations around it where it's this guy's running routes. This guy's not supposed to be a tight end in that body.
Yeah, it was, that's kind of one of those things where I was always kind of a receiver growing up. I was one of those guys who just caught the ball. I was just kind of the athlete. And then I just became a little too big to play receiver. And they're like, hey, you're a little too slow. You're not, you gotta, put your hand in the dirt a little bit and learn how to block too. So that's kind of how it all started. But I really didn't play tight end until my senior year because I was playing quarterback, running back, receiver. I was moving all over the place, just doing all sorts of different things on offense. So one of those things where it just kind of came later.
Yeah, and I think I was listening to your OC talk about you, and I really. The way I should have said it is the tight end body running routes like a receiver
right.
as you filled out a little bit. But I want to talk about Kyler because I think there are things that we don't understand about that dynamic between a quarterback and his receivers and a tight end. You've been with him a bunch of years now. What did you learn about what you had to figure out to make that relationship this great on the field?
Yeah, I think I had to really understand how he likes to play. He's a guy who he plays the game a certain way. He kind of plays with a little bit of freedom. He kind of plays, outside of the box a little bit. So I had to learn that. It didn't come naturally. And whatever your route is on paper, it might not always look like that. And it was one of those things where I was always running if I had a 10-yard out, I'd run 10 yards and I'd run right at, so everything that was on paper, I would do that. And then I learned quickly where he's like, man, if you're open, let's, come on, don't run to get covered. So then after a few reps with him and understanding how he sees the game, how he plays the game, just kind of tried to figure out how he did it, and slowly just got better and better. And we have a great connection. I feel like I'm on the same page as him. I know exactly what he's thinking, and I'm excited to continue for that to grow, or for that connection to grow, and just see where we can take this thing.
So you'll basically have the route, and then it's freestyle time, right?
Yeah, and I mean, not freestyle, but within the, some limitations, have a little bit of freedom to get open. Yeah.
I'd say sometimes it looks like backyard. Where you're just like, and that's, and then a credit to his escapability. And I mean, he's an insane athlete.
Yeah. He's one of those guys where the play's never over. You could think he's about to get tackled, and he loops out, he skeets out of, gets out of it somehow, runs around and makes some incredible throws. So he's one of those guys where you got to be able to play and never give up on the play.
What does having Harrison Jr. next to you mean for you?
Obviously, he's a stud. He's a threat to the defense. He brings so much attention, when he's out there. So he's a guy for me where, he goes out there and makes a couple big plays, and I can make a big play, and we can kind of play off of each other where they can't double us both. They can't cover us both. But he's one of those guys who is an impact player, a guy who, does everything the right way. And I'm excited to see the big jump he's going to make in year 2.
Is there a difference? Like, you lead the team in receptions last year, and sometimes you might think like, okay, is that the best thing for the offense? Again, I don't even know that's even sounds like it's fair to you, because I'm sure you're psyched about all the targets and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, hey, if we want to be the kind of threat we need to be winning more games, like, do you look at it as, hey, it's better if I'm not the primary on all of these dropbacks, because now we have a guy, obviously he's one of the all-time talents that we've seen in college football, and he got an early start this past weekend in your win against the Saints. But it's one of those situations where I imagine all of you get to a point in your career, especially once you get paid, where it's like, it'd be great to be the primary on less of these, so we have more balance and we know that we can attack in different areas. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's something that I'm, think is a great idea. I think Marvin deserves all the targets he gets and more. He's a guy who's going to win. He's going to get open, and he's going to make the play when it's thrown to him. So I am not opposed to getting him the ball as much as possible. And I think that's exactly what the coaches are trying to do, is find ways to get, our playmakers the ball and get him the ball in his hands so he can go out there and help win us some football games.
Let's talk about the 3rd and 7 last year against the Jets. Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
And then the hurdle. That was the kind of play that I think it wasn't just shedding Sauce, which, again, a corner's going to have a hard time trying to tackle a tight end up high, but you've got to convert. You're catching it behind the line to gain, and then you hurdle out. What was it like on the sidelines once you realized what you had actually done?
I watch that play sometimes, and I'm just like, holy smokes, like, what the heck was I thinking? What was going through my mind? And it's funny because when you're out there, you don't really think. You have like a split second to make this decision. And I broke the tackle, and I was like, man, I'm about to get this first down. And then all of a sudden I'm, 4 feet in the air, jumping over, a really good player as well. So I was just like, get the first down, and then just to see all the excitement of the teammates, of my coaches, my teammates. It's just cool that I was able to bring that much juice, that much energy. But I look back at that play and I'm like, man, what the heck was I thinking? I just lose my mind out there sometimes, I guess.
I know you said you got to stop hurdling. I didn't see every snap this Sunday because of all the different games. And where are we right now with your evolution?
We're over. We're one game in, no hurdles, so that's good. So, I like I said, I'm trying not to hurdle. I've never done hurdles in my life. I've never done track, none of that. So I don't know where this comes from or what makes me do that, but definitely not trying to do that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first thing they ever tell you playing football is like, don't jump in the air.
Yeah,
but
don't leave your feet. Yeah.
It's just so hard when you're good at it.
Yeah, and I was never expecting to do it. And then last year, I think I did it like 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, all right, I need to chill out a little bit and not jump so much.
So how do you feel? I mean, I know you're not going to sit here and go, well, it's the beginning of the year. Every team feels great about the best case scenarios and all those possibilities. But like, how do you feel? And I guess we'll just speak to the offense. How do you feel as an offense right now, if everybody's healthy, the added pieces, another year in this system? Where are you at right now?
Yeah, I think we're bringing a lot of pieces back, are pretty much bringing the whole offense back. So that's something that I'm excited for. Is now we have another year in the same system, same offense, same players to kind of really dial in on the details and know exactly what your job responsibility is on every play. And I'm really excited of where we can be. The people we have on this team, the people we have on this offense, I think we have the potential to be very good. So I'm excited as long as everyone stays healthy, like you said. But I think we can, be a force to reckon with for sure.
Your career, like, I know it's Super Bowls and all that different stuff, but like, how close do you think you are to being acknowledged as the best tight end in the NFL?
I think it just comes down to being consistent. Obviously, these guys that George Kittle, Travis Kelce, these guys, they've been doing this for so long. They've been, playing in this league for 8, 9, 10, 11 years, however long. Mark Andrews, all these other guys. So they've been doing this for so long. They're great tight ends. They've been doing this for so many years. So I think, obviously, I think time on task is one of those things where you really get to get that. And I'm only in my 4th year. I'm just trying to be the best player that I can be. And I don't even think I'm close to considered that right now. So I just want to continue to be a good player. And, we'll, see you at the end of the career where that's at.
Talk to me a little bit more about Rockin' Protein, because I was pumped. You guys sent it over. It tastes great. I know it's available at Walmart, Dollar General, Kroger, but I know you're working with those guys.
Yeah, it's great, man. They're just great people based here in Arizona. It's something that I wanted to, be with local people, wanted to, be with people who are here in the local community. But 30 grams of protein, it's really good. Doesn't have that chalky taste. But I think the cool thing is there's 3 flavors as well. I think there's chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla. So they're all great. It's for everybody who, whether you're working out or not. It's good stuff. Tastes awesome, and I recommend it. So.
Last thing, can you clear up? I don't know if this was guys that weren't from Fort Morgan, but when I'd said I spent time there, people started posting Fart Morgan. Is that a thing? Because I didn't think it was very nice.
No, there's the sugar beet factory right there, and I'm sure you saw that right when you drove in. All the smoke, the pollution, but it doesn't smell very good when they're making those sugar beets and things like that, cutting them up. So it does reek. It's one of the worst smelling towns in the state. So it does get that reputation, but it's all I know. It's where I grew up, so I love it.
All right, well said. Thanks so much, Trey. Good luck.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on, and we'll talk soon.
He's been on the pod before, and we're thrilled to have him back. His new show, Task, is out. The first episode on HBO, coming out every Sunday night. It's Brad Ingelsby. What's up, man? It's good to see you.
It's great to see you, Ryan. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great. I'm really happy for you. And, look, we've talked in the past about your work, whether it was Mare of Easttown, Out of the Furnace, which got a nice reference on the pod again on Mondays. We keep pushing for this to become a cult classic so many years later. But, I like to ask anybody that creates a show and writes this whole thing out. And I love the first episode. I think a lot of people did. And just a heads up, going to be some spoilers here. So where was the story? Like, how was this rattling around in your head?
Yeah. So I always start with characters. And I think on this one in particular, it was a character. My uncle was a priest for a long time. He was an Augustinian. He left the priesthood after about 30 some years. And so that's just always been interesting to me. And we have a bunch of advisors we use on the police shows. And we learned that that the FBI uses priests and rabbis and other clergy when in the wake of mass casualty events. They bring them along to counsel people in the aftermath. And I just thought, wow, that's an interesting character, a guy who was a priest who worked at a parish and now is bringing that point of view to a different life of service, in this case, the FBI. And what I would always say to Ruffalo is he doesn't really have any superpowers as an agent. He's not like really good with a gun, or he doesn't notice clues other people can't, but he's coming to the job with a very specific viewpoint. And that's, he's trying to see the good in people. He's leading with compassion and kindness. So it started there. And then the other sort of anecdote that I learned, in chatting with our advisors was I was at the time I was working on another story, Ryan, and one of my advisors said to me, trash men and mailmen. They come through your neighborhood every day and they know so much about your life, but they're completely invisible. And that always resonated with me. And so it started with those two ideas. And then it became a job of trying to figure out a plot where I could tell the stories of those two guys. And we came up with the collision course, and then we started to fill out their lives from there.
So did you have the end? And again, I haven't watched any of those future episodes, but did you have the end of this that you were able to write to? Like you were like, okay, I have this and now I can backfill it, or were you changing your mind along the way? I don't know.
So I had an ending that I thought would, given the circumstances of the Ruffalo character and what's happened in the family unit, I had a specific ending for him, a specific emotional ending that I thought I could aim towards. And I never start a script unless I know the ending, because I don't have many rules about writing. I always say what works for you, what gets you to the end is the right way. But the one rule that, when I mentor young writers, I try to say is have an ending, because what it does is it gives you guardrails, right? If you know where you have to go emotionally, you can't go too far outside of the guardrails, because then you have to travel so far to get back in. So I always know where the show or the movie ends emotionally. What happens in the middle, I often get lost and have to figure out. But knowing where it ends emotionally, I sort of have the bookends in place, and I know that I have to stay within the limits of those two things. So on this one, I did have the ending in mind when I started writing.
My favorite thing about you is that I think you are the most efficient at giving us all of the backstory in the least amount of detail. And I don't know if that's in dialogue, but the first scene with Ruffalo with his daughter, and he's sitting there and he's got the dorky outfit on and he's got the way too much sunscreen on and he's working in the garden, and you can tell that the daughter, there's obviously this issue, but he's so in love with her, and she's at that age where he's not going to feel loved, and it's in the driveway. And I don't even know if it's 20 seconds, Brad, but and I think back to like Aaron's character in Mare of Easttown, who again, Kaylee is probably one of my favorite actors. Like
Amazing.
Wish it sucked she had to die in that show, because she was so good. And I felt so bad for her in a minute, because you told us everything about the challenges in her life. And I don't know. I mean, I imagine you're probably pretty used to praise at this point, but is that something that you've sought out? Is that something where you're like, let me, especially in a pilot, give you all you need without really any dialogue whatsoever?
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and a credit to Kaylee. I'll just give her a shout out here. We saw so many actresses on that show, Ryan, and I said to our casting director, A.V. Kaufman, like, hey, we really have to get someone that's going to resonate, because her death is what carries us through the entire show. We need an actress who's so memorable. And Kaylee I thought she was just extraordinary. And as you said, in an incredibly short amount of time, I thought she was extraordinary. But, I always say to, in the room when we're working on a script, I always say, like, I want a scene to be doing a couple different things. It's moving the ball down the field in terms of the plot, right? Okay, we have to get a clue. But how's it also giving us a history? And like you mentioned that scene in the driveway at the beginning of episode 1, as you said, I love that he wears way too much of sunscreen, right? That's what it just says something about him as a character. His clothes are tattered and old. He's trying to do things to get his daughter's love in that, I made this for you. I can stop by the Acme. I'll go to this place for it. And you can see him constantly stretching. And so if you look at that scene, it's, we're going to meet up later. Maybe I'll stop by later. So it's giving the audience an expectation, and it's going to be paid off later when he shows up at Rita's water ice. So it does that in terms of moving the plot. But as you said, it gives you a history. Wow, something's going on there. She really doesn't want to talk to him. There's something they're both avoiding. He's making an effort to talk to her, but she doesn't want to talk to him. So it's giving the audience a mystery that they want to actually solve later in the show. And when a scene can be doing two things at once without ever trying to seem like it's doing that many things at once, maybe that's the trick of it, then I think you're on to something.
You also, and it feels like, whether it's Mare, whether it's this, it's the cliffhanger, right? It's the traditional suspense
Yeah.
That maybe is less common now. I mean, it feels a little less common. It's like, hey, this is going to be like a fun every week experience. I mean, Mare was certainly that, the kind of the classic whodunit.
Yep.
But the suspense within the longer suspense, where even with Pelfrey and his partner and their garbage men, but at first I'm like, are they undercover because they're going through the garbage? I don't know if you meant to set that up, but there feels like, especially as you're learning about the characters the first time around, is that, there's going to be a longer mystery to this thing, but I kind of want to keep you just on your toes. I want you to not maybe fully understand what I'm setting up here, even at the beginning of some of the scenes.
Well, absolutely. I think that's a great point. I was once talking to a journalist, a magazine writer, Matt Teague, who I worked on a movie once, and he said to me, it's not the information, it's the order of information, how you give an audience or a reader, in his case, the information. And I think that's really important. You could throw all the information out at once at the top of the episode, or you could gradually kind of place these seeds. And so as the show progresses, which I hope the show does, you learn new things about the characters in each episode, all the characters, the people on the task force, Martha Plimpton's character. And so you're constantly, as an audience, learning about them. And you feel like, oh, I thought I knew them. Wow, but actually they're like this. And then as it gets deeper, wow, I thought they were like this, but now they're like this. And so I love the idea that as you go, there are still mysteries that need to be answered. There's the overall mystery of the show, which is what's going to happen in terms of the plot. But there's also getting to know the audience. And I think so much of screenwriting a series is the order of information, when you give the information and how you give the information and how you're keeping something in your back pocket. So the audience never feels like, I know everything about these characters in the first episode. And yep, that was exactly who they were the whole way. Well, no, people are really complicated. You think you know them, and then they do this, and then they do this, and then they do this. And I think that's what I'm always trying to get at is the layers of the characters. It's people aren't exactly who they seem, and how do you use information? And as you said, character beats to give an audience another layer. And
I also want to make sure I shout out Tom Pelfrey's partner, Raul Castillo.
Raul Castillo,
Yeah, as a BU guy. I'm not, but I wanted to acknowledge him in that because I love the line, and I'm going to ask you about the specific line because early on we're learning about them. They're hanging out. They're on a lunch break. Pelfrey's character is like pointing to this private island you can buy in Canada, and the first thing Raul says is, "Who's going to take out your trash?" What is the origin behind that line? Because honestly, I'd never thought about that, and it does. I don't even know that it adds a ton. It actually wasn't like, oh, this is the scene. No, it's just such an odd observation that it just really worked.
Well, I think, when I always thought of Robbie and Cliff, I always thought Robbie was a dreamer and Cliff was the practical guy in the relationship. So when Robbie said, look at this, you could own your own island, it's very Cliff to go, wait a second, who's going to pick up your trash? Like, it's the most practical thing that would never come to mind for anybody else, especially Robbie. But I think that exchange, it kind of epitomizes their relationship. Here's the dreamer who's just thinking about these crazy islands in Canada. And here's the guy that's going, wait a second, if we lived on an island, who comes and gets your trash? And it was in my mind, it was a very simple way to have an audience understand who was the dreamer of the two and who was the practical one.
There's no way you came up with that line in the first draft.
I actually did.
No way.
I actually did. And listen, there's a lot of things we changed.
That's incredible.
But I'm serious. That one was in the first draft. Many, many things changed along the way, but that one was in the script from the jump.
You had to feel pretty good about yourself once you wrote that down and looked at it.
I can tell you this: everyone who knows me, I never feel good about myself. It's always self-doubt. Everything stinks. I'll never go back and watch Task or Mare of Easttown as long as I live, because if I ever watch, all I'll do is point out all the things that we did wrong and all the lines that didn't work. And so, I would say the pats on the back never really happen. You know this. You're a writer. You know how it is. You're always doubting yourself. It's always, oh God, could we make it a little better? I wish I had a better line. I wish it was a little bit more tense. I wish the emotional payoff was a little bit bigger. It's a constant cycle of doubt.
Yeah, I think the thing I've learned is like, oh, so it's kind of never done.
Oh, never. it's never done until they take it away from you, right? Until they're like, guys, the edit is actually like, we are closing up shop. We're packing the computers. I mean, up until the last minute, I was like, I'd still like to go back to that episode 1 and look at that action sequence. We might have missed that one shot. And it's like, we've run out of money. We've run out of time. The editors are going home. It's never done. It is never done.
Yeah. And like, to your point, I'm sure if you watched Mare, you would find all sort of, I could have changed this word. And that's the thing about it. It's like, eventually you have to go, yeah, we could change a ton of it. We could keep changing and changing and changing, but eventually, like, somebody has to talk in front of a camera.
Yep.
Your background, I know I've talked to you about it, but I almost feel like I have to be reminded of it, because between this Out of the Furnace, Mare, and now, here we go again, where it's this gritty, blue collar, rough around the edges. Like, did you know these people, or is there a dark side to your past that I'm not aware of?
It's funny. Not really. I think, I would say the neighborhoods in the show where Ruffalo's character lives was sort of where I grew up. That sort of very suburban, kind of leafy Delaware County. I actually grew up in Chester County, but one county over. And all my relatives still live in Delaware County and Chester County. But I think, everyone always asks me, I think I'm a pretty nice guy. And they're like, wow, you seem so incredibly dark. I don't know. I think that really is the job of a writer, is to be able to put yourself in people's shoes. And there are parts of each story that are true. As an example, in Mare, my grandmother moved in with us and she lived with me after she wasn't able to live on her own, so the Jean Smart character was different from my grandmother, but the idea of a grandmother coming in to live with her mother, is part of my life. My uncle was a priest. He left the priesthood. He married a woman. So there are elements that I am tied to in the show. And there are certain characters that I feel a closeness to. And then there's the idea where, hey, it needs to be entertaining. As you said, there needs to be a cliffhanger. An audience needs to come back. So we have to wrap our arms around the genre expectations of an audience. But I also really see myself as a character writer. Like, Mare to me was a story of a woman who couldn't get over the loss of her son and perhaps her own failures as a mother. She had to come to terms with that. She had to forgive herself. Task, in my mind, is a story of a father and his son. I won't spoil anything that happens along the way, but equally a character study of a guy who's lost his faith. And so those are themes I can tie into. I can tie into the themes. I know those themes without knowing how an FBI would go into a raid, So I always feel, Ryan, if I'm able to access someone emotionally, the other side, the parts of their life I don't know, I can use tech advisors. The chief of police in Easttown is a friend. He comes in and helps me with the stories. We have an FBI agent. So if I can find a way in emotionally, like the other things, I think I have a rich enough imagination where I can get there, but it's the emotional access that I need to come from my real life. And so, even in Mare, I'm not a mother. I didn't lose a child in that way, but I am a father. And certainly the greatest, all the fears you have as a parent are losing a child. So I'm able to access that in some way. And then the other side, I just got to use my tech advisors and research and do that thing. But it's a bit of my own life, and then it's a bit of trying to imagine yourself in the shoes of someone else.
What purpose, and maybe, again, only seeing an episode, but, mapping out the show, mapping out the season, and mapping out the pilot, the purpose of the bird watching angle of this, what is that? This isn't me being like, hey, what's the point of that? Brad? It's, no. I know there's a meaning for it. It doesn't reveal itself. When you're thinking of how you want to layer your storytelling, what's the motivation behind something that just seems so detached, at least from the story in the first episode?
Yeah. So I think it does pay off. I won't spoil it, but I think it does pay off in really interesting, meaningful ways. But I think it's more, what it is, Ryan? So my uncle, who was a priest, he's a bird watcher. So some of these things are, when I write a character, it's really the aggregate of a lot of details, like one of the first things with Tom Pelfrey's character that I liked was the ice cream that he would come. I don't know where it came from, but he comes in and opens a jar of ice cream, scoops it with his fingers and eats it. And it's a little thing. But when I'm writing characters, I'm oftentimes not, I'm not always aware of the longer arc. What I'm aware of is behavior. Like, oh, well, I got to get to know this person. So what's their behavior like? And, I liked him smiling at the dating ad that comes on in the radio in the morning. Because as a viewer, you're going, oh, here's a guy that's sort of a bit of a romantic at heart. He likes the idea that maybe there's somebody out there who's waiting for him. And the bird watching to me was just something that I believed Tom would do as a character. Now, again, that came from my uncle, so maybe that. And then, so once you nail down all the believable character traits and routines, then you start to go, well, how can I use that as a theme, right? I want to create the character in a meaningful, rich way. I want it to be true to who they are. Then let me use those things, so I'm not starting with birds as a theme. I'm going, oh, I think this is something he would do. I love this idea. It's a part of his routine. Then let me stretch it into a theme. Then let me carry it through as a thread and find some meaning. And I think if as you go along and watch the show, you will find some meaning in there.
How involved are you with casting, considering it sounds like you have a pretty strong image of who these people are when you're writing it?
On the movies I write, very little. That's more of a director's thing. The director comes in. But on the shows, you have a huge say in the casting. And God, we got so lucky on this one. The cast all the way through is just absolutely superb. Avi Kaufman was our casting director. She cast Mare as well. So I have a lot to say. And I feel like, not only did we get amazing actors, but Ruffalo, Pelfrey, the rest of the cast, just some of the best guys you could ever meet in your life.
Does it help with Pelfrey, like being where he's from? Not to say like New Jersey.
Totally.
I mean, it's so believable with him. And
totally.
He's Rutgers, he's New Jersey.
Yeah.
So, again, like PA people may think like we're not the same or whatever. Maybe those from outside, but he just comes off as completely believable as this guy. And look, Ruffalo can basically do anything. So like, there's probably never a concern like, hey, is this guy going to be able to pull it off? So I don't even, there's not a Ruffalo question. So I don't even have one for you. But do you look for that though a little bit? I have to.
I think with Pelfrey, he put himself on tape, and true story. We had, he put himself on tape. He put himself on that on tape. He did the scene you were talking about earlier about the trash boats or who picks up your trash. And he has such an iconic laugh, Tom, that so I clicked on the tab. We get nowadays, like, you very rarely do casting tapes in person. He sent us a tape, and I got through about a minute of it, and he laughed, and I was like, what an incredible laugh. And I was about to hit play again. I got a call from our director, Jeremiah, and he was like, have you seen Pelfrey's tape? He's our guy. He had already watched it. He's like, he is the guy. And I think he was maybe the second person we auditioned, Ryan, and we cast him on the spot. And I think he's fantastic in the show. He's just absolutely riveting as an actor, and your heart breaks the whole way through for him. Because I think that the great accomplishment of Tom in the show, and I think Kate did a similar thing in Mare, is they do terrible things and make terrible decisions, but you never for a second aren't on their side. You constantly want them to get, in Mare's case, solve the case, in Pelfrey's case, get away. And that takes a real talent to achieve that, I think.
Okay, so I wasn't going to ask this now. And again, this is a huge spoiler alert if you've not seen the pilot. So just give it a couple minutes. So the other thing that you do well in this is it's not just story. It's not the longer suspenseful arc, but it's a suspense in the shots. Okay. And so, I hesitate, but at least we've talked about some of the stuff I've worked on. So at least I feel a little bit more real to you and the audience. And that is like some of the rules. And it's not like network rules. I think they're rules more on like understanding audience habits. And we can sit here and pretend that the audiences want all these different versions of storytelling, but I don't know that that's necessarily true. And you have a decision to make. And it's clear that you'd already made the decision based on knowing how your own show is going to go. But when both Tom and Raul hit the second place.
Yep.
They kill everybody. They lose Peach Boy.
Yep.
And there's a little boy now that changes the entire dynamic. Right?
Yep.
And he's like, are you my dad's friends. And of course, the first thing you leave us with is their decision, which we don't know what to do because their masks are off. He's a witness. And I'm watching and I'm going, there's no way. Because even though Pelfrey and Raul are bad guys, they're still like better than the other bad guys. And we've already spent the day with their families. So we're going to be rooting for them. And they do seem likable. And hey, they're just killing drug dealers. So how mad can I really be at them?
Yeah.
And then you're like, they're not going to kill a kid. Okay? But you want to leave us with the potential option because you then shoot them in the car and you don't see the kids in the back seat. And then when they get back to Pelfrey's home, you shoot it facing them where it looks like they're pulling up to like the quarry perhaps to dump a body. And then finally we come back around. So like, I know there is no way. First of all, you would lose the audience because it's like, so I'm supposed to give a shit about these two guys now? Like they're awful. I don't care they were robbing drug dealers. So I can't, I'm sure it was never to like the network. No, but there's been some things that I have with the current network that I'm working with on the pilot I sold. There'll be times where it's like, hey, this is great. But this doesn't work because you can't do this to your main guy this soon because now you're asking everybody to care about him for 10 episomes, man. Everything works, but like this part doesn't work. And it's like, you know what? They're right. They're right. And this is an obvious one because it's like, hey, we can't have like them kill a kid at minute 58. But I mean, you love fucking with us along the way.
Well, I think, a credit to Jeremiah, our director on that episode, who really mapped out in the ways that everything you just said, Ryan, like, oh, let's get out of that scene on a pregnant, what are they going to do with the kid? Right. And then we go to Tom. And as a storyteller, what you're doing is you're leaving the audience with a question out of the scene. Oh, wait, what do they do with the kid? It's carrying you through some kind of more procedural beats, right? He gets the call. You got to come out to the scene. Now, now that section of the story, which could be a little bit kind of mundane at times. The procedural beats are always kind of hard to write, I feel, because the audience has seen them. But it's charged with, oh my God, we got to get back to what happened to the kid, So it carries you through that section. And then Jeremiah had a really lovely image where he said, I want to mirror the opening shot of Robbie carrying his own son. I want to have a very, very similar image at the end with Sam. And so if you were to go back and look at those two shots, the very beginning when he picks up his son and carries him down the hallway, then we bring back a very, very similar image at the end where he picks up Sam and holds him in his arms. And so those were very sketched out. But yes, we are giving the audience a bit of a heart attack, just going, oh my God, what did they do with Sam? And then hopefully at the end of the episode, there's somewhat of a release going, okay, at least he's okay. I'm scared what's happening in the house at the moment, or I don't know what's happening in the house, but at least we know the boy is alive. And that's done intentionally. It could be a bit of torture, but it is done intentionally for all the reasons you laid out.
Yeah. I mean, that's really, whether it's somebody that works in the industry going like, there's no way this is actually happening because then the show's over. And the audience that desperately doesn't want anything bad to happen to this kid because you feel so bad for the kid. And then again, during the procedural stuff, you see this mattress is in the basement. So then that's another added layer of like, did they do something good after killing 3 people? Again, there's not a ton of sympathy for the 3 people that are killed. But I'm watching it. I'm going, he's done such a good job because he's still maybe planting a little seed of doubt with you, even though so much of the audience is thinking like, there's no way he did this, but just the beats of doubt.
Yes.
And then being so relieved. And this is where I think it's brilliant. So you may have known the end of the story. I'm going to ask you about the end of the pilot.
Yep.
In that, I mean, this is so much better than who did this. How's this guy going to escape? It's how are these guys going to have this kid at their house from a murder scene? Did you know that was the end of the pilot?
Yeah, we did. And I felt like the shot was very specific in that we wanted it to, so we knew that was the end of the pilot. And then we wanted to design a shot where you saw them go in and you lingered on the house for a few seconds going, oh my God, as you just said, Ryan, what must be happening in there right now? Right. It's like, They just walked in. It's the morning. His own kids are about to wake up. Maeve hates him already, and now he's gonna have to answer to her in some way about this kid. And so we wanted it to be okay. The kid's okay, and now they're going in the house, but linger on the house a minute or a few seconds in this case, just for the audience to start to have the wheels turning in their mind, going, "My God, what must be happening in that house? What a complicated situation it is." And I felt like that was a good cliffhanger that would get people to go, "Well, I have to go see what the heck is going on in that house for episode 2."
It's an all-timer, Brad. I'm not. It's such a great cliffhanger because then the first thought I have is, how is he going to have the storyline survive for a season of the witness is now living with him, but it's like you also can't just keep a kid. So
I know.
how is this going to work? And I don't know, you and I haven't talked about it. I think you sent me one of the episodes, but I kind of wanted to wait on this whole thing. All right. So a couple more things before we finish here. Yeah. How bad did HBO want you to figure out a sequel to Mare of Easttown?
Honestly, they, yes, they did. And they were actually wonderful about it in the way that I think they understood the issues with Mare season 2, which for me were, what could possibly happen in this small town again? What could be another crime that would involve all this characters, friends, and family, right? That's what I always felt worked about Mare, was it was a woman investigating a crime that involved all the people who were closest to her. And the idea that in the wake of a terrible tragedy, a horrific crime, another crime come along in this town. Now I have said, and I have said, I actually think Mare is a story that if you were to come back in a couple years, 5 years, 6 years, who knows if audiences would care about Mare by then. But I actually think that character, if you were able to revisit her in a couple years, or if you gave it enough time, it's almost better because you've built up other things that have happened in her life. You could believe another crime would come into this small community and involve people she cared about. So that, I think, is actually a story that you could revisit in a couple years. And HBO was like, hey, I think in the immediate aftermath of Mare, they would have loved another one, but they were also really aware of the limitations of that type of story,
Yeah, I remember talking to you about it too at the time, and it was like, I was just like, that's going to be so hard. It's going to be so hard.
I know.
And
I know.
Did you outline anything though? I'm sure there was probably a couple hours spent on it.
Yeah, no, totally. And, and I think that, I think what's hard about Mare is it's a character I love. It's a joy to write Mare because she's a character that's, she's so complicated and she's so acerbic and funny and, mean to her family and kind to strangers. She's just this constantly hard to pin down person. So as a writer, you feel a certain a freedom in writing her. So, dude, I sketched out hundreds of scenes with Mare and Jean Smart, Mare and Lori, Mare and but I think that's just a symptom of me just being a guy whose brain is constantly firing at all times. But even now, I feel so close to that character. If you were to say to me, "What's Mare doing?" I could come up with a scene in 2 seconds because it's just a character that's never left me.
Do you think Kate signing on for that kind of leads to like anticipation for the next Ingelsby script, where now people go like, "Hey, I saw what happened with Mare. Like, I'm in."
Yeah, I think, it's funny. That is a character that resonates with people. Like, even we did the press tour on Task. So many people still ask me about Mare, and it's a character that's resonated in ways I really never even expected. But I think there was also a mother-daughter dynamic there with Jean that people, really respected. And certainly Kate, her performance, her joining the show has allowed me to have access to actors that, I never would have imagined. Even getting Ruffalo, he had seen Mare when we talked and he loved that show. And I think he felt like he was in safe hands because he had seen Mare. And so, it was a wonderful experience in my life. I'm incredibly grateful that, to have Kate and have her performance in that show. And also Julianne Nicholson is just one of the all-time greats in my book. She just got nominated. I think she won an Emmy over the weekend again. But to work with actors like that, it makes up for a multitude of sins as a writer, Ryan.
Yeah. It must be fun. Just knowing it must be fun just going like, well, whatever I write down, like Ruffalo probably figure it out. And he does in every scene. And then you let him like another thing too. It's like, don't be afraid to let the actor have fun in some of the stuff. In the scene where he gets hammered, it's like, all right, we're gonna get you out of your comfort zone. You get to play just kind of a weird drunk scene with another guy. No other guy's like, cool. When you got hammered and started asking me to dance with you, that was fun. Let's hang out again soon. The weekly whodunit of Mare was really fun. And I'm excited to do this again. And, there's probably friends of yours being like, I have to wait a week still, not quite understanding. Do you think your storytelling benefits from getting a break?
I do, because I think that there's a density to this storytelling, I think. And maybe some people will like it, some people won't like it, but it's dense. Like, even when we were editing, the episodes, you felt like, wow, a lot happens in each episode. It's not like, we all watch shows, and sometimes you get through an episode of a show and you go, wait, I watched, it was a 42-minute episode and one thing happened, and I could have skipped that episode and probably gone to the next one. Task is pretty, it's pretty dense in that way. And I think in a good way. I think in a way where an audience will feel like, wow, I got a full meal. I learned something about the characters. The plot moved in 3 or so ways. And, we zig and zag a few times each episode. You learn things about the case, and you're left wanting to know what happens. And so I think a show like this, I think, benefits from that pause and having a moment to go, okay, let me regroup in the wake of that. Let me think about those characters a little bit. I also think it's a show, Ryan, that is about the characters. And I think selfishly, the longer you get to spend with the characters, I think the better the show becomes. And by that, I mean, all right, I met Tom Brandis, I met Robbie. I'm going to spend another week kind of, having them on my mind a little bit, whether they're actively on my mind or passively, they're there in some way. And now I'm going to spend another hour with them. And then another week goes by. I think this is a show that, if we've done our job, and I hope we have, it lingers in your mind, not because of the reveals or the plot beats, but because you got to spend time with people that you really cared about. And I think time, like any relationship, the longer you get to know someone, the more meaningful it becomes. And I'd say selfishly, that's what I want. I want an audience to spend as much time with these people as we possibly can.
I can't wait to spend more time with them every Sunday night on HBO. Again, Task, Brad Ingelsby with another hit. And I'm just fired up for you, man. I'm a big fan.
You.
I appreciate all your help over the years. And I can't wait to see how you untangle this mess.
All right. Thanks so much for having me on, Ryan.
You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
Life advice, lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. Don't forget Ladies Week. You can put it in the subject.
You're serious about it. Okay. Yeah, this is the second I've heard. I didn't know it was
I thought this serious. Was a bit that went from, to put 2 pods together, but
we got a couple emails. So now we got to follow through on it. I don't know.
Would a real Ladies Week just be off the air and just do them a favor if they're in the car with their significant others? Would that be the real favor for Ladies Week?
Just tell them
We're just taking a break. We're just taking a break this week. This one's for you.
Hey, I'm doing a Tales from the Couch, lady. So our gift to you is that we put it after the interview.
Yeah. There you go.
I would love to see the data on. Well, maybe I wouldn't want to see the data on that. I don't know. Whatever.
What, the male-female breakdown of
No
Tales from the Couch?
That's easy. Like on Instagram, you can look at it. I think it's like 96% men.
Yeah.
Just not enough thirst traps out there. I may post one from St. Bart's just to get things moving.
You need more private, like PJ pictures,
Private jet stuff.
Yeah.
Just because you fly private doesn't mean keep it a secret. That's one of my favorite captions.
It was a good one. Probably it's a Hall of Famer right there.
Yeah. Although I think I may have lost a couple inquiries on that alone for people who thought it was serious, but it's okay. Means we never were going to get along in the first place.
Yeah. Weeding people out we don't need.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just not at private jet status, so I just don't know. But I still think like every now and then somebody will hit me up and be like, I'm by myself a lot, man. I just don't.
I'm getting like my Instagram algorithm thinks that like I want to charter private jets now. I don't know. I never prompted anything, never searched anything. It's like, you could secure like up to 4 seats on a 12-seater private jet. And I'm like, what in the hell? And then like I've been getting it usually Instagram's pretty on point. Like I've said something, hey, there it is, or just my lifestyle, it kind of aligns. And this, I'm just getting bombarded with like private jet bookings. I don't know what that's about. Not going to do it though, obviously.
Yeah.
Holding out. Yeah.
Holding out. Yeah, right.
It was like when I did one of the Wheels Up, like sit down fireside chats. And I was like, we getting a couple hours out of this? What are we looking at here?
Let me know when to look at my account.
Yeah, because like Mike and Mike were on that train. Van Pelt was on that train, and they were doing stuff. They were like legitimately doing things for him. And then there was like a Super Bowl event I went to, and Mike and Mike were hosting it for Wheels Up or something. And I'm like, this is the next level. It just didn't work out. That's all right. It's fine.
But yeah, bum rides from Mike and Mike back from the Super Bowl.
You guys going to Canton again?
It's like, damn, Russillo's show not doing well, huh?
Yeah. Like, why'd you want to go to Canton? I don't know. Hall of Fame game? In. I love the first preseason game. That's when you sitting there with a depth chart. Who's that guy? Oh, he's at Temple. I remember him. All right. It sounds like you want the floor here, Kyle. We have some room, so we're going to go for a bit.
It was like 10 minutes before I got on this pod. You ever like look in the mirror and you're like, you're fucking up, dude. Get your shit together. It's probably been like 36 to 48 hours of just like poor decisions. Nothing like life altering. Works fine, everything. But like I've eaten like this fucking grocery store ramen twice in a row, like the last 2 days, absolutely running through me. My office is a mess. On the second day of making this stupid ramen, I was going to put this, I had the spoon that's got this, like shit, like food on it or whatever. And I wanted to put it down, and I put it down on top of the nice fucking thank you note that Mike and his wife sent me. And I'm just like, just because I didn't want to put it on the counter and wipe it off. It's like little thing. Like I had a moment right there, and I was like, this is the shit I'm talking about, dude. I'm talking myself, my wife's in the living room. Like, what? I'm like, nothing. It's just like, I just been making poor choices. Mike sent me a really nice thank you note. Thank you. I know Mike wrote it because his handwriting is just like mine. So anyway, it ends today. Although I did have the leftover ramen this morning, and I'm expected to pay for that later too. It ends now. I've just had a rough 48, and I just sort of wanted to apologize to Mike in a way, but also I'm really apologizing to myself. Thank you for the thank you note, Mike.
Dude, no worry. I'm more concerned. You made ramen yesterday and then ate it this morning?
Dude, I'm not proud of the last 48, but I think part of being a man is just looking yourself in the mirror.
It's like 8 a.m., man. What are you doing?
I was like leftover, bro, and it was spicy, and I feel terrible already. I feel like my face is redder than usual. Like, let's just enough's enough.
But it's behind you now.
Played golf.
You're done.
Awesome
New year.
Yesterday. Yeah, played golf. Awesome. Yeah, maybe best ever.
What'd you shoot?
Well, we're not to that point yet, but I will tell you that here's what I texted my dad: 2 legit pars, 3 bogeys, and a couple atrocious holes for 9. Not bad.
How many balls you lose?
4.
Yeah.
And then I actually would find. Then I found the last one on the way back, and I was like, all right, that's not a lost ball. Yeah.
Speaking of putting stuff behind you, what's going on back there in your room? Is that a humidifier and a Dyson fan?
Yeah. I got an extra
PS5,
Dyson.
right?
I got an extra Dyson fan. Where do you see a PS5? There's no PS5.
What's right in front of the Dyson fan?
That's a humidifier.
Yeah. It's like a PS5. No,
my mom sent me a humidifier, and it's a humidifier that like breaks into fucking 8 pieces. and it's so annoying. And I've just been lying to her that I've been running the humidifier for the last 2 years. So
neither of those are plugged in, right?
No, the thing about the Dyson fans is they need an $80 filter that really gets filled up, especially if you got like, rabbit particles or whatever. But like whatever, it just fills up. And then next thing you know, it's like I got a subscription for $80 things, and I have 2 Dyson fans. Those were a gift from back in the day. Shout out to Dyson. It was a one shining pod thing we had going on. But I have a vacuum.
There's filters on those things,
dude. Filters. It used to be 2-part filters. Now they wisened up and they made them an all-in-one. But it was like I just couldn't imagine. I ran it until it stopped running without a filter in it because I was just like, what happens? And then I cleaned it out, and it's unplugged in the corner now.
What's going on with those sheets of paper on the couch?
Those are actually, I found these things at not a farmer's market. What do you call it? A fucking
paper sale? Market?
Flea market?
No. It's like, flea market. There you go.
Okay.
And they're like cool space things, but I have to get frames, and I'm just don't want to forget them. Listen, I'm telling you, today is where it ends. I'm going to pick everything up. I looked at, like, when I opened the door to the office, my little office in here, I looked at it, I was like, you got to be kidding me. It's like, that's strike 3, motherfucker. So I'm going to sign off and going to hit the pavement.
You're really giving it to yourself today.
Yeah. I think it's necessary sometimes.
First day of the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, congrats, dude.
All right, so we're all good now.
Yeah.
I feel like you said what you need to say to Oregon.
We could probably read
Oregon. Thank you as well for the note. It was very nice.
You got it, dude. Thanks for the gifts.
Yeah.
You guys don't got to thank me for the thank yous.
Well, I didn't send out
gesture.
thank you notes. I said I was gonna, and
you didn't do any.
A couple of the great aunts were like, "Well, wondering if you ever got our gifts," and I just don't know how to handle that.
Email, circling back.
Right. You say, "Oh, you got to have an app. You don't have the app." That's my bad. Yeah.
My grandma's really old. She went to a wedding, gave this woman a gift, never got a thank you note. So now every time this other woman posts on Facebook, she responds, "Hey, have you found time to send that thank you note yet?"
Oh my God.
Man. She just goes right at you, huh?
She doesn't care. No, she gives no fucks.
Dude, Facebook is a wild place. Like, people just sometimes, like, when people use Facebook as like Google, it's like,
oh my God,
it's unbelievable.
My grandmother will do when she first got an Instagram, like, she basically got it to follow Bill, and then she'll just like Bill Simmons, or not Instagram, it was Twitter. It was just, she just tweeted Bill Simmons like 100 times.
Wait, no, I knew a guy back in the day who did something similar. He was like, he was interested in this girl or whatever, and he goes to look her up in the search bar.
Oh my God!
But instead, he just types her name,
jump off a bridge
in the status, and hit send, and didn't know. So her name was just on his wall for a while, and buddies were texting him like, "Hey, dude, you know what's going on here. It's kind of a situation,"
Rivers,
and everyone knew what happened. Yeah, not great.
To be fair, that was his status.
Yes, searching for
his intentions were very clear at that point.
Yeah, this is what I'm doing right now. Check out my farm. Okay. A couple updates. We got time. Remember our Toronto stand-up comedy guy?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like no.
I think I might not have been.
I think I do. Okay.
Hey guys, hope this message finds you all in good health and great spirits. First off, thank you for reading my email last October. It meant a lot when Ryan said he was proud of me and called me brave for chasing stand-up at 47 years old. The encouragement from all of you gave me a real boost.
Yeah.
Remember, this guy was going to move to Toronto.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we've been in Toronto for 9 months, having moved from Northern Ontario. It's been incredible. I walk out of my building onto King Street, look left, and boom, CN Tower right there. We've never been happier. It took a little while to get things rolling comedy-wise, mostly because I first needed to lock down work as a massage therapist and build a steady client roster. Once that was in place, I dove into stand-up with both feet. For the past month, I've been hitting 2 or 3 open mics a week, and my new set, Why Dogs Are Better Than Kids, playing the hits right there.
Right.
That's a winner. We just ranked dogs and kids on Monday's show. So, yeah, it's going over surprisingly well, though based on the podcast comments, I'm not sure Ceruti would be a fan. The whole experience has been amazing. Networking the show's the stand-up drug. Honestly, if anyone listening has something they've always wanted to do, I can confirm, do it. Doesn't matter how old you are. You know what? Let's give this guy some love. I posted my 5-minute set on Instagram and Threads at, well, wait, does he I honestly think he's fine with this if he's trying to get a little shine out of
Is he
this,
fishing for a repost? Is that
I think he's
where
looking,
this is headed?
Yeah. No, I think it's just a shout out.
We're just so used to never sharing any information and going out of our way. But
shrouded in secrecy.
Yeah, but I think if this guy's a stand-up comic, like, why not, right? So at Mark Kosek, that's Mark the normal way, Kossek. If you're curious and feel judgy, don't worry, you will now be judged, man. All right, completely different note. Months ago, a listener asked you guys about what bed size works best for apartments. I know the debate got resolved, but there was one option I didn't hear you mention: adult bunk beds. You're right, we didn't mention that.
Sounds like he's got a new Type 5.
I didn't even know they existed until recently when my wife and I bought one. A queen over queen, PICS attached. Oh my God. This guy has adult bunk beds.
Huh. I've only ever seen it in Step Brothers where it was like put together with 2x4s and hockey sticks. Like I can't imagine what it would even look like.
Yeah. Although queens, you don't have a lot of room for activities if you got two queens.
Yeah.
Our king was eating up the whole room, so we joked about bunk beds, then found out they're real. 6 weeks in, best sleep of our lives. She takes the top bunk. I take the bottom. The dogs insist. And yes, plenty of space for all the usual fun stuff. Sex.
Yeah.
Bonus, new things to grab onto if things get a bit overly rambunctious now. Kyle, you're right. This is his open or his close.
Yeah, this is good.
Come on.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that.
Search your life for material. You've got a treasure trove. I just don't. The whole reason you get bunk beds would be to like, if you don't have enough room for two people to sleep. If you've got adult sized bunk beds, there is enough room for two people to sleep.
Let me ask you this though.
Just want to say thanks for the podcast. Anyway, surprisingly solid advice givers. Thanks.
Nice.
Wishing you continued success. Okay. Yeah.
Did he say how big is he? Did you give height, weight at the beginning again? Because the only reason I ask is because, like, you know, we have a
maybe we can find his old email.
We have a king, and I've just, I'm 5'10". My wife is, 5'4", 5'5". So I mean, we're not like big people, but I feel like I've never really struggled to have room sleeping in a king.
Well, he said the king was eating up the room. It didn't say that it was.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
Small room, by the way. Small room.
Yeah. But they have tall ceilings. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
God, I wonder what that would be.
Up.
That's like one of those things you'd hope you'd never have to like. I'm trying to think what another example of like going from a king to something lesser, like after you've been used to it. That's one of the things I would, I'd have trouble with, I think.
But if you're solo,
I think even
moving
solo,
to Manhattan Beach to Hartford.
Okay. All right.
I'm just trying to think of something. I'm not saying that's the right one, but
I mean that's like a whole life thing. But yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Would you guys be like embarrassed to have people like, hey, this is our house, whatever, and you show them and you have 2 queen bunk beds in your master? People start asking questions. We don't sleep together anymore. It's not weird. We just don't like to sleep together.
Yeah, I mean, we did that like a month ago about those, the old timey, bed by bed, the room with the 2 beds side to side. I guess that's a chic version of that. I don't know.
What's something like that worth too? I feel like.
It looks really nice. And I do think there should be some sort of movement. I don't know how many years away we are from it, but whoever decided to sleep in the same bed thing, just morons. I mean, we're talking about sod houses and 1-room cabins, so I understand then. But, we've advanced in a bunch of areas as a society. And I think you should normalize people sleeping in separate beds.
Yeah, sure.
This guy might be onto something.
I like farting in bed at night. Can't do it anymore.
No,
big problem.
That's a debate, and that's a whole show.
I
don't want to do it.
I don't subscribe to that.
You don't subscribe to not farting in bed, you're saying?
Yeah, I just let it go.
I did that. I can't even say it. I can't say it. Let's get another email. I'm
shared enough.
I'm shared enough.
This guy's 6'1", 217". We were able to find the email.
6'1", okay.
I was not familiar with your frame.
That's a lot of room for a solo queen guy. 6'1". Yeah. Good for you.
Okay. Another update. Are we going to do just updates today? No, we've got a couple. We just have time. So let's use it. For Kyle, long story, but my wife came home with a bunny that was the runt of the litter and getting picked on by an older sibling at her parents' home. She and the kids absolutely love it. And to my surprise, none of our 3 dogs bother it because I think it freaks them out. Anyway, freaks
me out too, man.
If one dies, are you going to tell us?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Okay. Maybe
Are they all the same litter?
Probably fucking text you first, dude. Honestly.
It's like the celebration emoji.
You'll never.
Wait,
guess
have you 12? How many do you have? 12? 11?
We're down to 4.
Maybe we could do some sort of graphic where like it's the 4 bunnies, and then heaven forbid we lose one, and then we have a graphic come up, and then one of the bunnies just turns like gray, and the other
slowly
4
fades off.
Yeah,
like Infinity Stones or Infinity War style.
Get graphics people on that. Anyway, it is in the home in a 2-story bunny house and not going anywhere. My question is, would you travel with a bunny? The kids have fall break soon. We'd likely get a cabin to just enjoy nature. Fall break already? This is unbelievable dynamic here for the school. Get some kayaking in, some hiking. My wife is wanting to take the bunny in a pet carrier to stay with us. But when we get there, it will want to be loose. Like it is in our house. It seems like a pain, and even though it has a litter box, it doesn't use it all the time, and the messes are tiny and easy to clean, but we have a large main floor that's all tile. These cabins typically have really old hardwood floors, so I don't want to get fined for potentially making spots on these floors or risking it getting out in the wild. The question is, do you vacation with rabbits?
Your fucking mind, guy. No. I'd bring a bunny to the cabin to lose it. That's what I'd do. But no,
we should let these guys out. Let them stretch your legs.
Give them some fresh air.
It seems like the only humane option.
Okay.
Fuck no.
We should all be enjoying the outdoors.
Right.
I think the rabbit in the car, depending on how long the ride is, you're just signing up for an awful, awful time. So this to me is a no. And you're right. Like, imagine if the place you're renting was like, 3 kids, really cool, and a rabbit. Who says yes to that?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, cool, totally. I'm psyched you're bringing a rabbit. Let it run around our house.
Right. I'm sure it won't destroy any of the wood fixtures that we've spent making this rustic cabin inviting. I'm sure everything will be just the way we left it.
How often, Kyle, are the rabbits like out of the cage when you're around? Or are they mostly
almost
just
never?
there?
But I tell you what, last night I was like getting myself ready for bed, and my wife just throws this rabbit on the bed. Immediately, my throat starts getting itchy. I'm doing that thing. I just left. I watched Silicon Valley on the couch for like 2 hours and came back when I felt like it was safe.
Listen, I'm not trying to get between you and the missus, but like if she's able to do that to you, I feel like you should be able to fart in the bed. Like that feels like a good compromise. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, me too. But I guess I'll say it. I farted like into her the other night. We were like butt to butt, and it just like totally traveled. And I thought she was asleep, and she immediately got up. It was like, what the hell was that, man? It's like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I wasn't gonna say it, but
aim away.
I think we're back to 0. We're even. I think
that's fair.
Anyway,
we have another. I guess that was technically an advice one, but these guys just double header. Go ahead,
real quick, because I only asked about the cage thing because I thought rabbits are kind of mostly supposed to stay in the cage, and if this one's just kind of out and about, especially with 3 dogs, that kind of like blows my mind. But speaking of Instagram content that I don't know where it's coming from, there's like a ton of people who just have like wild animals as pets. Like, have you seen this? Like, I saw there's this one girl, she did this video where she's trying to like show her morning routine, and she's got like 3 little monkeys that just live with her. And I'm like, how is this legal? And she's like putting her coffee together, and she has to put her hand over everything because the monkeys just put their hands and stuff. And I'm like, why did you choose this? This sounds miserable. You can't do anything. You can't leave containers open. Again, are they even legal? They're like lemurs. I don't even know what kind of monkey they are.
State by state, I think.
And it's just like, that sounds like, and again, people have like pet alligators, and I've seen all this content on Instagram. I'm just wondering, like, what is this like a new thing where people just get crazy animals to start Instagram accounts? Probably.
Yeah, it would probably pay for itself with the, probably would if you could stick with it long enough.
Yeah, it's looking like it's a state to state thing. So it sounds like, did you guys look into it?
I have enough animals, so no. Again, cat, not a cat guy.
Yeah, so we're looking at 14 states
for monkeys.
Monkey in?
Yeah.
Is Florida on the list?
No.
Wow.
There's 4 states you can just get one.
No, and no documentation. You don't even need to do like the SPCA registered thing. Okay.
The other 10 states you need a permit. Ceruti, you can get one in Connecticut if you get a permit.
I think I'm good. Thanks.
Well, if you don't want a cat anymore, maybe I'm just kidding.
Kind of surprises me that Montana, you can't just get a monkey.
I feel like you can't. There are no rules. No, who's going to check in on you, you know?
North Dakota permit, South Dakota permit, Wyoming permit, Nebraska no permit, Kansas permit, Oklahoma no permit, Texas just a hard no. Like, why would Mississippi be a permit state and Louisiana be like, no way?
Like, did that lady that got her face ripped off by was it an orangutan? Like, that was a pet, right? That somebody else's pet, I think. It's like, I
thought it was her own pet.
Maybe it was her own pet. Yeah.
If anybody's interested, Pet Monkey Legal States 2025. Again, those are new pieces of information.
.com or what is it? .org?
No, it's a different, but it's just the first thing that came up. I like how Connecticut was like,
sure.
If you live in New England and want to own a monkey, we're your place.
Yeah, this is your spot.
Yeah, you don't see that a lot.
We got pizza and monkey availability.
But a permit.
Yeah.
West Virginia is a permit?
Yeah.
How would they even know?
Tighten it up down there in West Virginia.
Apparently, again, if you're looking for exotic, apparently foxes are trying to become domesticated. They're like,
are they trying?
Yeah, they're like looking at what dogs
trying to get in the house.
Like, hey, this sounds like a pretty good gig. Like, how do we got like 10, 100,000 years of evolution. We're pretty far behind, but we can catch up.
Was that HVAC over there? Yeah, all right, give it a shot. I can't believe some of those F1 cats. Yeah, we can move on. I just like some of those F1 cats where it's like one generation from being like those Savannah cats. I mean, those things are terrifying. Very cool though.
Yeah, I don't have the permit data on that. I'll look into it for Friday's show. Here we go. Dating in the age of hat fishing. Hi guys. Hope I made it in time for Ladies Week. We're just reading it. 23, 5'10", 165, no gym stats, just a casual runner, nothing to consult Oregon about. Okay. Longtime Life Advice listener. Shout out to my ex Charlie for putting me onto the show. We're cool, and he still listens. All right. Thanks, Charlie. Who knows? Who knows what this email could do? I'll keep it short and sweet. As a single lady on the lookout, I've definitely got my radar up for hat fishing. Urban Dictionary definition if needed. Hat fishing is a practice where a man purposely deceives a potential romantic partner by wearing a hat on every date to hide his rapidly receding hairline. My friends and I joke about it all the time, but it's now become real. I'm currently seeing a new guy, and we're on hangout number 3, and the hat still hasn't come off. So you've never seen him? He hasn't like taken the hat off to readjust.
You don't even know the shape of his dome. That's crazy.
Yeah. The edges look promising.
A little something to be desired.
Yeah. I remember back in the wild, just sitting at a table with some girls, and I was with some buddies, and just chatted up, and I had a hat on. But I just like wearing hats. At this point the gig is sort of up. And one of the girls was like, "Wait, you're not bald, are you?" And I was like, ugh. And I wasn't. I didn't have a shaved head then, and I just took the hat off. And she was like, "Oh, thank God." Well, it's too dark in there to notice.
That's like
massive
insane.
Divot. Yeah. But it was just funny because my buddy was just dying laughing that you took your hat off with like full confidence, like nothing was wrong. And she was like, "Oh my God." She's like, "I just hate to say it that way." She's like, she's just like, I was like, whatever.
Hat fishing is a great name.
I don't like that. It is a good name. Yeah.
When I learned about manspreading, I was like, that's ridiculous, but also great name. Hilarious name, actually.
Manspreading's a good one.
Fucking hilarious name.
Mansplaining, I think, went a little too far.
Right.
It's like, I'm just giving you directions. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of on her side. I mean, if it's something that's important, we all have things that are important, not important. It sounds like this guy's hiding something. To be clear, I'm not here judging a man by his hair alone, but at a certain point, I'd like to see the full picture before things get serious. Here's my dilemma. Is there a smooth, non-awkward way to ask a man to take off his hat, or am I doomed to wait until it comes off naturally, possibly months down the line? Dude, months?
Yeah,
yeah.
I just picture like like, is your option just to like invite him back to the house? You know, obviously a little hookup time, and like he takes off all of his clothes except for his hat, and he's just like ready to go.
You could do one. Remember those like rom-com scenes where like they open the door and they like maul each other, and the first thing she just goes for the hat and pushes it off, like an offensive guard, just like getting.
Whoa! Yeah.
She says, "I don't mind hair or no hair. I just want a complete overview and a glimpse of the whole head before I commit. Trusting the pod counsel to guide me through this." You're right. I mean, if it's still on, and he says, "I just love the Dodgers." So.
Well, let me ask this: like, would it be crazy for 3 dates if you haven't seen a girl without makeup yet? Would that be crazy?
No,
or would you?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
All right.
Not at
Well,
all.
there's kind of you know, beards and hats is kind of what dudes have, right? It's really, those are our two things.
Yeah, but the beard is like, if the guy has a beard, he's going to have a beard.
True.
I mean, is there just a place you can go where you literally cannot wear a hat?
I think the swim date is exactly it. But now we got to worry about
getting
climate.
a little late. Yeah, you're getting a little late.
What if he puts like a bald cap, like a swimming cap on? He's like, I take this really serious.
It's already there. Yeah. What about like some malls have those like those big fan rooms where you can like fake like you're skydiving? What about that? You got a big like tri-state mall near you? That'd be maybe
roller
maybe
coaster,
something like that.
Go to Six Flags. You know?
Bungee jump thing. Like obviously you don't have to jump off a bridge, but there's the ones where you can like do it when you're like on a trampoline or something where the hat is a bad idea. Would be disappointing if we somehow pulled off keeping a hat on during one of those things. So like, damn.
What if he has like lightning bolt tattoos and he just was like, I was super into corn for a while there. I don't know if she has any male friends, but maybe the next time they go out, she could say, like, can you just go up and start some shit with this guy and like slap his hat off and be like, you want to go, loser? Then you could see how he handles a tense situation. One, if he's protective, and then you'll see him without the hat.
Yeah.
That seems like a lot, though.
Here we go. I got it. Buy him a hat. He's got to do a switch.
If his IQ's remotely above average, he's going to know.
Know what?
Try it on.
Right. We're early on in the dating. He doesn't want to be like weird about it. Like you got him a gift. He probably likes the idea of it. You want to see him put it on? I don't know.
She has a right to know, man.
Yeah.
Just like I'd want to know if, eventually you're going to want to know some stuff. And I think wanting to know whether or not, and she's even saying it doesn't matter either way, but her wanting to know whether this guy's get just, website under construction situation going on up there. I think that's.
Yeah, it's the same way if like if you went on a date with a girl and she was just wearing like a puffer coat jacket the whole time. You have no idea what you're looking at, She just never takes her jacket off. Like, it's not like it's a deal breaker, but it's like, I'd like to actually figure out what's going on here.
I thought the makeup was good enough. All right.
Yeah.
A
puffer would be.
It's like it's hot inside.
I think you would know then, though, because then you would just go, okay, this is ridiculous.
Something's
going on. Ryan, you just said just like I'd like to know if, and then you stopped. What would it be what would the version for you be?
I don't even necessarily have something specific.
Oh, okay.
I don't. Yeah. I just don't like how we're supposed to pretend that any of this is like shallow when we like what we like and there's things we don't like, and it's okay. So
yeah, subjective, exactly.
Yeah, like trust me, I know when I can tell. It's like, all right, this girl wants some Legends of the Fall deal. It's not going to work out for me. Brad Pitt.
Yep.
Okay. I guess we still have time. Here's just a random one. Do you guys think the four of you, so that's me, Kyle, Ceruti, and Wargon, misspelling, but it's great, could tackle Derrick Henry while he was running in the open field?
I think so.
Open field?
No way.
If all four of us are like a unit, and he's running at us.
Well coached.
So maybe we could sacrifice Ceruti and Wargon like head on, and we just try to grab an ankle each. But I don't know. I wouldn't put a FanDuel bet on that.
This is similar to the gorilla thing in 100 guys. It's like one of us, probably two of us, are going to have to really take a beating initially.
I think it's you and Wargon. I think you have to face him head on, and then Ryan and I both have to focus.
We would do the least damage, I feel like.
Well, I know, but I think we're the real actual
just like, muck it up a little.
Yeah,
so just like throw yourself at his legs and see if you can slow him down slightly.
I think if we each really focused on one like leg, and we could both, I think if we just know where he's going to be headed, because you guys are the in his like line of sight, but I don't know, I'm not very confident about it.
So like the scenario is like we're linebackers, right? He gets through the line and it's just the four of us versus him, because I see like a lot of those guys, they're running side by side with him and he's just got the stiff arm going. If that's the case, there's zero chance. Like I'm not keeping up with him. I'm not certainly going to get a hands on him if he can stiff arm me. But if he's running at us and we're running at him and it's just 4v1, like we could probably just be bowling. Two of us could be, like bowling balls to his bowling pin and try to just trip him up a little bit so you guys could jump on his back and maybe do something.
You're saying this is like an Oklahoma drill and we're just waiting?
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, it's like an Oklahoma drill. Yeah.
Well, it's sort of like a car, right? You have to be running too, otherwise you're going to get more hurt. So you got to, you should be going top speed, buddy. But I'm just saying, I think the two larger of the four dudes should be probably going one leg each. But other than that, like I certainly wouldn't jump on his back. I feel like that would be a recipe for disaster.
He would just carry it for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe coordinated, but we'd have to want it. And I don't know that the four of us want it bad enough.
Yeah. You have thoughts on this Wargon or what? You got your camera on.
I think we could do it.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We'd all go low though. So it's like half of us are probably just going to miss. Yeah.
Do we get one try?
I mean, yeah, it's an open field thing, right? I mean, it would be like,
because there's always the case that we just
for $100,000 tackle Derrick Henry in the open field.
Now, look, if it was him standing 5 feet, well, let's just say 5 yards, right? Like, is it Derrick Henry with a head of speed, getting up to 21 miles an hour, and like
open field? Yes, I think so.
Open field. Like that's what I'm thinking of. Is like he's got this 20-yard head start towards us. And he has his agility. I mean, he's knocking over. I mean, Bishop, that safety, like maybe I'm the same size. I don't know what he weighs. So I would say that my weight or whatever, he's flicking the guys my size away, and they're half my age and also pro athletes. So there's that part of it. So if he has a head start, I think there's like no chance. If you said, okay, he has to start 5 yards in front of us, and we're well coached.
That's what I'm thinking.
And it's
we're well coached.
Yeah.
We're just different guys.
We got Saban on our side. Guys, he's like, yeah, I think that's the scenario I'm thinking. Yeah, if he gets like, if it's a kickoff and we're like running down on kickoff, the four of us, like there's zero chance. No. But
we're gonna break contain. We're not gonna.
Who's the wedge buster? No one. No, but if it's just like, hey, 5 yards in front of you and the four of us are here, like I think there's a shot. I do.
Cool.
There's no way anyone in the audience thinks that we have a shot, though.
No.
I think I'm the least hopeful.
As the biggest dude here.
No, Kyle's bigger than I am.
Yeah, you've seen more than all of us, so
Kyle's defensive player of the week that one time, though.
Yeah,
that was.
I like your odds with that.
Thank you.
Wargon, what do you think you would try to do? Would you be okay if it's like, hey, you're going first and you're just
I'd be okay with that.
kneecaps?
I'd be okay with that.
There's a cash prize. If there's no cash prize, you're out, right? But we're talking.
I think I'd still do it.
Life-changing money, maybe.
I did a story in college where I just had the Penn State middle linebacker tackle me.
I think I saw that video. I think you sent that to me.
Yeah.
I'd love to
What was his name?
Mike Hull. He got drafted by the Dolphins. He was on.
What was the pitch? So you were a real journalist back in the day.
Oh yeah, hard hitting. It was just like like a profile on him. It was right before draft weekend, and I was like, it'd be cool if my stand up was just like talking, and then he just tackles me. I put a GoPro on him. I can send that around.
Getting creative.
That's good stuff. Yeah.
Did you send that resume tape out?
Yeah, it's on the reel. It's on the demo reel.
Did you set up some mats that you got tackled into, or were you just?
He made me set up the mats. He wouldn't do it if I didn't set up mats.
Okay. Did he have his helmet on or no?
No.
Did it hurt?
It hurt a little bit. I had a bit of bruising, but it's not crazy.
Did you guys
more
become
of a wrap than a like shoulder tackle, right? More of a classic tackle.
Yeah, good form.
Yeah.
Were you guys good friends and you got invited to all the cool football parties after for the rest of your college life?
We weren't good friends. We met at the bar. We were just like doing shots together. And I was like, hey, dude, how about this cool story? He was like, whatever.
Also, have you heard of an espresso martini?
Yeah. So wait, Oregon, initially the plan on air TV.
No, I always wanted to be behind the scenes. That was always like the goal. But this was like, I was taking a class that was basically just like a newscast.
Mm-hmm.
So I pitched the story. I did it.
What kind of grade did you get on?
Yeah, you did.
That was a joke of a class. Everybody got an A.
Yeah, the comms degree is.
You showed up and participated. You were getting an A.
Shout out Penn State.
Hell yeah.
That's not the Penn State standard.
I found a couple of those classes over at Potsdam, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I sniffed those out.
I had one. It was on like the history of Africa. It was all online.
Rhetoric of the Black Church. That was my joint right there. Rhetoric of the Black Church.
Every test, we had one test a week. The answer was always D. Every single question, D.
What? Come on.
And so I've got 100%, obviously.
You're one of those athlete classes. That's what happened.
It was one of the athlete classes. I forgot to take the final. So I ended up with a C in the class.
That's crazy.
How did you forget to take the final?
They made it due Wednesday of finals week. I figured I had till Sunday.
Wow.
Well, you couldn't have just put down 20 Ds and you've been done?
I could have. I just never did.
Okay. All right.
And everybody knew.
But me, apparently.
Well, you knew the answers. You just didn't know the timing.
Exactly, yeah.
Just call the guy and be like, can I take it right now over the phone? Well, you
I
don't
emailed
have
the professor at like 1 a.m.
I feel good about it.
Emailed the professor at like 1 a.m. No go.
I used to love asking for extensions in college. I mean, instead of just doing it. Yeah, just going,
hey,
dealing with some stuff.
I have this reoccurring dream that I have this paper due that I just have not written yet, and it's always due like the next day. I've had this job. I haven't been in college since when I graduated 2010. It's been 15 years, and I wake up and I'm like, shit. I'm like in a I'm sweating, and I'm like, damn it, I gotta figure this thing out. I'm like, wait,
everybody
you're 37 years old.
Yeah, it doesn't go away.
It's crazy.
Stop. Yeah, I don't know. I started trying to figure out a way to like have the dream stop. I was like, do I go back and get a master's degree or something and do well and study? Because now I think I'm a little more buttoned up, obviously. Like, is there a way, like, what are you really passionate about? You want to get a law degree? No, I want to stop having the dreams.
Yeah.
You try spicy ramen before bed. I've been fine these last 2 nights.
And after bed, it sounds like.
In the morning and night, yeah.
Yeah, Okay, that'll do it for the show today. Thanks to Ceruti, Oregon, Kyle, Jonathan Frias. We are a video podcast on the Spotify app and, of course, on YouTube as well. Ryen Russillo Podcast, Ring of Spotify.
They were going to name me Michael Jordan. My dad was like, I don't think he can live up to it, so they named me Michael Jared.
Must be 21 and older and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is there. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.